Hi, welcome to the course. My name is John England, and I'm your captain on this vessel called History 110, U.S. History since 1865. I wanted to post a short video to sort of introduce myself and the course. I'll introduce myself and then we'll go over the syllabus a little bit so you know what to expect over the next 6 to 7 weeks. So my name is John England, as I have already stated. And I am from Utah. I moved to Arizona about 5 years ago, and I'm just wrapping up my PhD in history, coincidentally. And yeah, I love Arizona, love the desert, don't love the heat, but everything else is great. I am actually living in northern Utah right now because I'm doing research, and so I'll be teaching the class from there. But you can still reach me via email, Skype, FaceTime, Google Hangout, however you want to do it. I'm available. So I grew up in Utah, as I said. My research interests include the environment, environmental history, religious history, and the history of the American West. I love the West, love the desert, love the mountains. I'm a big-time landscape geek, so I enjoy all kinds of outdoor stuff, hiking, camping. I do a fair share of running outside always. And so yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I'm really excited about this course. I love teaching U.S. history since 1865. This is my third time teaching it, and it's my favorite class. It's so interesting. We cover so many interesting things. We've got the end of the Civil War, the Gilded Age, the Spanish-American War, um, the Great Depression, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, the Cold War, which is super fascinating. Racism is all throughout all of that, and that's exciting to talk about. So it's a fun course. We talk a lot about very interesting things and very relevant things too, I think. So hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do. So let's dive into it. I have the syllabus up here. I'd like to take you on a quick tour through. Let me go to the beginning. Um, so up here you can see my email address and my name. Feel free to email me anytime you want. I'm usually pretty quick to respond. I usually respond within 24 hours, usually much sooner than that. If it's the weekend, give me a little bit longer, but I've never had any problems responding late to students. So hopefully that doesn't start happening now. So you can read through the course description yourself, but as far as course objectives go, a lot of people complain about history because they say that, I'm not good at memorizing facts and dates and people, names, that sort of thing. And there is some of that, to be fair, but history is more about actually being analytical and critical, and good historians are also good writers. So those are the three things we're going to be focusing on for the next 6 to 7 weeks, is honing and developing those analytical and critical skills, as well as your writing skills, because writing is always useful. Anyone will hire you if you're a good writer. So, and that's the other thing too. I'm going to try to convince you all to become history majors by the end of this. So, I'm just going to be wide open about that. But when you go out on the job market, writing and critical thinking are very, very important skills, very marketable skills that you can use for whatever job you want to apply for, whatever major you have, whatever career field you want to get into. If you have good critical thinking and writing skills, then you'll be very marketable. So hopefully you'll find this course to be useful for whatever your major is, even though I hope it ends up becoming history. So, course organization. There are 6 weeks worth of work, basically, and each week has its own module, is what I'm calling it. The module is basically the assignment that you need to complete that week. They're very simple. They consist of the reading from this book, Voices of Freedom, which is essentially a collection of primary sources. And a primary source is a speech, letter, article written during the time of the subject that you're studying. So they're very, very interesting. There's a lot of speeches in there from very famous people like FDR, Richard Nixon, JFK, Martin Luther King. So I hope you enjoy reading through that. And each week you'll have about 5 articles to read out of that book. And I picked what I think are the best ones, so I hope you enjoy them. The second part to the module is a learning module, which is basically an interactive learning program that you'll be involved in. And what it consists of is different. It's basically like a glorified PowerPoint. You'll open up the program, you'll see an opening slide or screen, and there'll be information on it that you can read through. And some screens are just filled with stuff you read, others have videos that you'll watch, and others will ask for short answer responses to a question that I'll pose to you. So they're very interactive, and the reason I chose to do this is because I thought it would be more engaging and more interesting and more fun, frankly, than reading through a textbook, which is another reason why people struggle in history classes, is because they don't like reading the textbook. So I hope that you find this much more engaging and interesting. And I'll talk a little bit more about those modules later on. So each week begins on Friday in this class. So Friday is the first day of the week now. What that means is that each Friday, that week's module will open up. So this week, this coming Friday, you'll be able to open up your first assignment and work through it, and you have until the following Thursday to finish it. So Thursdays are the due dates for every assignment in this class. If it's a Thursday, it's likely that you have something due. Okay, so keep that in mind. I tried to keep this very simple. Your assignment begins on Friday and it's due the following Thursday. All right, so hopefully that works. I always get questions about this. When is this due? When is this due? It's due on Thursday, okay? So if, again, I'll probably remind you of that later on in the video. Okay, so a little bit more about the learning modules. Again, each week you'll be required to complete the module. There are 6 of them, but you are only required to complete 5 of the 6, which means you get a week off. It could be any week you want, all right? You don't have to notify me if you're taking the week off. I'll figure it out. So hopefully that works to ease your burden a little bit, because I know that these courses are, a 6-week course is very, very short. It's very, very condensed. We're not going to be able to talk about half the things that I would like to talk about, but we'll do our best. But there is a lot of work, and so hopefully by giving you a week off, you'll be able to breathe a little bit and enjoy the course a little bit more. Again, everything is due on Thursday. Because of the condensed nature of the course, I can't really allow late work. There are always exceptions, though. So in case of an emergency or illness or whatever, please let me know and we'll work it out. But generally, I do not allow for late submissions. Again, with the learning modules, what will happen is each Friday you'll be able to open up that week's module, and there will be a link to a learning program. You'll follow that link to the program and then work your way through the screens. And basically, it is like sort of working your way through a book. I've tried to organize them chronologically so that they're easy to read, and there is sort of a narrative to them. But yeah, you'll start with your first screen, which is usually an introduction. You'll get an idea of what we're talking about, and then you'll go through the various activities of that module. Usually they are short answer questions, multiple choice questions, reading, and there will always be at least 2 to 3 screens that ask you about the reading from this book. So make sure you do the reading first and then work your way through the learning activity. The learning activities should only take you about 45 minutes to complete. They're not very long, they're not very hard. They're not very intense, and they're very, very basic. Um, the earlier ones are easier, I'll just be frank. The one on reconstruction that we're doing this week is very basic. But as we go through and as you get more and more comfortable with the learning activities, they get a little more advanced. So don't stress it, you'll figure it out. I've tried to make it as simple as I can. The other thing too is each module has a video lecture from me. So I would encourage you to watch those to get an idea of what the learning activity is about, to kind of get an introduction to it, and then work your way through the learning activity. So here's what I would do. I would start with the reading each Friday. Start with the reading, watch the video lecture, do the learning activity. So those are the modules. The big assignment for this course is a writing assignment, which consists of 3 components: a proposal, an outline, and your final paper. 3 things. So your proposal is 300 words, very basic. You're just going to talk about what your thesis is, or what you think your thesis will be. Sorry, the first thing you should talk about is what your topic is, then what your thesis is, what sources you might be using, and where you think you'll take it, and importantly, why is this topic important? Okay. Your outline is very basic. Also, it can take any format you want. Most people, what they've done with this assignment is they list their topic, they list their thesis or their argument, and then their supporting points. So the outline has to have 3 things: your thesis, your supporting points, and the evidence that you plan to use to support your thesis. And we'll talk more about that as the deadline gets nearer. And then your final paper is 3,000 to 5,000 words long, 12-point font, 1-inch margins. And I will be providing a grading rubric as we get closer to the deadline, so you have an idea of what to expect. Okay, participation. This is a little bit tricky in an online class, but each week there will be a discussion question that I will post to the course discussion wall. What is that called? Discussion board. Sorry. There's a discussion board each week, and I will post a question to it. And you are required to respond to 4 of those weekly discussion questions. Again, late work, I do not accept it unless there's an emergency or extenuating circumstances, and they are due, everything is due Thursday. Okay, the learning activity, the weekly discussion question, and your writing assignment components will all be due on Thursdays. Grading breakdown, the modules, 40% of your grade. Again, you're only required to do 5 of them. Your proposal is worth 10% of your grade. Your outline is another 10%, and your final paper is 20%. Participation is 20% of your grade, and that includes your participation on the discussion boards, but also getting your work in on time. And the rest is just sort of legal stuff. Please go through it, though. Make sure you know what it is. And then we have our book. Required reading is this, Voices of Freedom by Eric Foner. The bookstore should have it. And then the course schedule. So it's pretty basic, pretty simple. I think that you'll enjoy this class. I certainly enjoyed teaching it. We're going to be talking about some great stuff that I hope you enjoy. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much, and I hope we enjoy this course together. I'm sure we will. Thanks.